Good evening everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to discuss the Hindu and the Indian Express, some of the important news which will be very important for your prelims and your mains examination. As you already know, the mains examination, the GS1, GS2 paper and the GS3, GS paper 4 has already been finished, and this year paper was almost moderate to easy, I would say. And please go through the paper and then you will understand how the newspaper is very important for your prelims as well as mains preparation. Okay, so this is the channel Domestic and Global Affairs. If you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe the channel. So we'll start the article. So this article I will cover in the last because there are two articles, one in the Hindu and one in the Indian Express. So they both have the interlinkages between the two. That's why I will cover this article in the end. So this is the first article for the day. It is all about your social issues, security and all these things. So center publishes disability database stripped of socioeconomic figures. Okay, so in this they are talking about how the central government or the ministry, they have provided the wrong data, or now they are trying to stripped off, or means they are trying to streamline, or they are telling we have to go through the data in a more shaved manner. Okay, so there is a card which is called as unique disability ID card, which will be issued by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, as it is clearly given here, as you see. Okay, so what they are telling, the data being shelved include information such as socioeconomic category like caste, level of education, okay, employment status, income, that is personal and family, and marital status of PWD also. So they are telling the data are not being released because of the quality issue. So they are telling their data is having a certain quality issues. Okay, the center has said that the aggregated UDID data were meant to influence e-commerce organizations to design their platform, like how to do the sale and all. Okay, so remember this allocation of resources to address the specific needs of PWDs from various communities as well. Also, it was meant to fetch all data from these particular community, that is physically disabled or Divyangjans. However, the fate of these objective is now limbo. Why? Again, because the government is telling the data is not adequate or the data is not accurate enough. Okay, so this is the main reason. So UDID information we will see. So UDID information, it will be district wise, gender wise, age wise, then ability type wise also it is also there, and it will help the NGOs to regarding what NGOs will do to provide them the better accessibility for persons with disabilities. Okay, so remember this. So nothing more important in this particular article, but there are certain bodies, like this is the body, Registrar General of Office is there, NSSO is there. Please study about this for your prelims perspective. Okay, so we'll come to the next article. The next article is all about the bumblebee. So in Europe, what is happening? Over 75% of European bumblebee species are in the threatened. So what are these bumblebees? They are a genus of a bees family only. Remember this. So more than 75% of the European bumblebee species in the next 40 to 60 years, according to the data, according to the survey or whatever the project, it is going to down. And I think they help in many activities like pollination and all these things. So what are the major reasons? So degradation of habitat and alteration of climate due to human activities are identified as the key drivers. So these are the main key drivers. Okay, so around 90% of the all wild animals, most crop benefit from the pollination by these animals. That is why we have to save the bees or the whatever the bumblebees they are talking about. So human generated transformation of natural habitation also and increasing in temperature are implicated as the key driver also regarding the threatening of these bumblebees. So what they're telling here is around 38 to 76% of the European bumblebee species currently considered as the non-threatened, but they will be shrink by at least 30% by 2061-2080. So this is one of the important thing. Next topic or the next article is important because they are like why Nipa is happening only in Kerala and that too in Kozhikode district. Okay, so this is one of the very important article because UPSC is asking. In this year, UPSC asked regarding monsoon will be called as a certain name like a Purvaiya in Bhojpur region. So they can ask you why Nipa spread out only in the Kerala region. So mostly in this particular article, no need to read all this article. This is more than enough. This is the summary of the whole article. So what they are telling, 3 outbreaks are there. Okay, 18, 21, 23, and most of the time it will be Kozhikode district. Okay, so this is there. Then virus become the endemic in the bats in Kerala. So this is one of the reason why Kerala is only having the virus. Second reason is except in NIV Pune. NIV means NIV is National Institute of Virology Pune. There is no Nipa testing virus facility in the country. So this is also there. And mostly whatever the cases reported being in the Kerala, it will report to the NIV Pune only. Then patient who tested positive for Nipah virus had only respiratory system, and this is also very important. Why? Because not reported anywhere in the world before. So that's why it is very much important. Okay. Then clustering of cases, unusual systems and proximity to the 2018 outbreak epicenter. And one more thing what they are trying to say in this particular article is there are chances other districts, other states also in the country are also having the Nipah cases, but it is in the Kerala where the most of the cases is being reported. Why? The reason again this only, like doctors might be not consider those symptoms as the Nipah virus symptoms. Okay. One more thing which you have to understand here is, which is very much important here. So in Pondicherry, white date palm was linked to Nipah virus in Bangladesh. Okay. Then in Malaysia, it was where it is pigs. Okay, remember this thing. Next article is evasive nutritional support for TB patients. So very much important. Why? Because undernutrition is the leading risk for the TB disease. This is what this article is all about. 50% of annual TB incidence is in India regarding the undernutrition also. A 2022 study noted that 45% of people in India are undernourished. So a 2022 study noted that 45% of the people in India are undernourished and accounting for nearly 1.2 million TB cases. Very much important. Okay, so the government has this program called Nikshay Poshan Yojana. Okay, a direct benefit transfer scheme for nutritional support to the TB patient. It was launched in 2018. So what was this scheme was all about? In this scheme, 500 rupees will be credited to the TB patient for their duration of the treatment. Then one more program is there which is called as Nikshay Mitra to consented the TB patient. So this is called Nikshay Mitra, and in 2022, Tamil Nadu became the first state and only state to launch differentiated TB program to reduce the the mortality rate among the TB patients. 52% of the notified TB patients in Tamil Nadu had undernutrition. So this is one of the reasons why they are telling undernutrition is the leading cause. All three initiatives provide nutritional support only to TB patient, not to the family members. So only the TB patients can avail the benefits. So this is the Nikshay Poshan Yojana. As per the India TB report 2023, 2.4 million notified TB cases, only 1.6 will be received at least 1 month payment. So this is quite concerning. Even in the yesterday's one also we have discussed some of the schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission, how the data is being provided distorted to the public of the country. So in this Nikshep Poshan Yojana also same kind of thing is there. So and study like how TB causes, whether it's a viral disease, it's a bacterial or fungi. Tell in the comment section. The next article is what is driving the Global Biofuel Alliance. So we'll see in this what type of biofuel is the alliance going to concentrate on and why are countries trying to find the alternatives. So use of biofuel as an alternative fuel, okay, like petroleum and diesel, and the grouping they have called is Global Biofuel Alliance, to bring countries together to co-develop, accelerate technological advances in production processes and advocate for the use of biofuel, particularly in the transport sector. So there are 3 founding members. Remember this founding member for your prelims examination. India is one of them, US is one of them, and the Brazil. Later on, or you can say apart from these 3 founding members, there are other countries which were joined: Argentina, Canada, Italy, South Africa. Okay, so these are the members of Global Biofuel Alliance. They are also the member of G20. Remember this. Now what are these biofuels that we will see? So according to IEA, that is International Energy Agency, study about this body for their prelims, defines biofuel as the liquid fuels derived from biomass and used as an alternative to fossil fuel based liquid transportation fuels such as gasoline, diesel, aviation fuels, etc. Okay. Next question is, are biofuels an alternative to fossil fuels? So there is a distinction between the biofuels and the sustainable biofuels. The former one is derived from crops specifically to produce biofuels such as sugarcane, corn or soybean, and the later one, that is sustainable biofuel, is from the agricultural waste, used cooking oil and processed animal residues like waste. So these are the difference between the biofuel and the sustainable biofuel. The former one is also known as first generational. Okay, this is first generational. This is one, or the later one is also known as second generation, which will come here. So the former collectively known as the first generation or 1G ethanol or first generation biofuel, and the later one is second generation. Okay, remember this. So 2G ethanol will allow the reduction of greenhouse gas emission. This is one of the reasons why we are trying to shift from a conventional or the fossil fuels towards the biofuels. Why? The reason is we want to reduce the greenhouse emissions and all. Then climate change accelerates. Okay. Then fears of threat to food security, increased loss of forest and biodiversity. These are some of the reasons why we are adopting why we are shifting ourselves from fossil fuels to biofuels. And one more fact here is, which you have to remember for your prelims also, agriculture is one of the largest carbon emitter. Okay, UPSC asked many times regarding the questions from these areas. So please note of that. Next, why is there a renewed focus on biofuels? So first, one reason is India, 87% of crude oil is imported and most of the expenditure will go there only. So this is the main reason. Second, decarbonization or decarbonizing. So this is the second reason. Many countries, they have already announced their battery production, electric vehicle policies and etc. So this is also there. One more concern is also there, which is like sectors like aviation, shipping and long haul trucking. It will be find harder to reduce the carbon emission because as of now the biofuels are tested, or you can say made only for the fuels which are related to the cars and buses or small vehicles. But for aviation industry, shipping or long haul trucking, it may still have a long go. Now, do biofuel aid energy transition? So this is one of the question. Like most biofuels today are blended with petrol or diesel at varying degrees. For example, India blends about 10% of biofuel and has a plan to double in the upcoming year. So India is having a 10% biofuel blending. And other areas are also there. We have green hydrogen. Green hydrogen basically means using the hydrogen as a alternative energy source. Then 2G ethanol, like which is wasteful products. And what is the main aim? Main aim is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. Remember this. Now what happened next? So according to Global Biofuel Alliance, which produce 85% of the global fuel but consume only 81% of it. So that's why this Global Biofuel Alliance is very much important. Renewable fuel standards, they can ask you this. Renewable fuel standard is related to what? So it is related to the GBA. To substantially increase the production of biofuels and substitute about 140,000 barrels per day of crude oil by the 2025. Okay, so US has the commitment like to substitute 140 barrels per day by 2025. Similarly, India had announced the setting up of 12 new refineries in 2018 because they have brought the National Biofuel Policy. Please study about National Biofuel Policy. What is this? National Biofuel Policy. Okay. So UPSC has asked 2 times in the prelims examination also. So study about this body. And in that, what they have met is like their aim to meet the 20% ethanol blending by 2025. And one more commitment is also there by India, that is net zero or the net zero carbon emission by 2070. So this is also there. So the IEA predicts that about 2/3 of the global biofuel demand will come from the 3 emerging economies, that is India, Brazil and Indonesia. Very much important for the exam. Okay, so study about this article. Next is, why is Google on trial in the United States? So very much important because same type of cases happened in India also. Please study about that case, what had happened regarding Google versus government. So in this whole article, I'll try to describe or I'll try to explain in a very short way. What they're telling is Google is trying to create a monopoly. Okay. So what is monopoly? Like I am only there in the market. There will be no other company. So this is all about this article. So US government, they are planning to brought this particular concern in a court, and they are trying to understand whether it is a true or not. Okay, is there any deal between Google and Apple? Because what had happened, like they are telling they have given money to each other so that their product will be more promoted. And whether these antitrust cases are important, antitrust cases is this only. So yes, it is important because in 1995 also Bill Gates tries to create a monopoly over the operating system, and later on the government intervened and they have provided other options also like Mozilla, Firefox and all these things. So this is all about that article. Not so important, but yes, because it happened in India also. Like Indian government has also raised the concern regarding Google is trying to create a monopoly in India. So we should also have our own operating system, search engine and the other services which Google is providing. So study about this article in a from your GS paper 3 perspective. Next is, how will Middle East corridor impact trade? So as you know, in the G20 summit, they have came to this particular project that is called India Middle East Europe corridor. Okay, so PM Modi, US President Joe Biden, they were the signatories. Other than those, like Saudi Arabia was also there, UAE is also there, European Union is also there, Italy is also there, France is also there, Germany is also there. And the project forms the part of Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. Again, they can ask you in the prelims. Now, what is the corridor? So the corridor is not only like sea or whatever, it is railroad is also there, ship is also there, and road is also there. Okay, so it is a very big corridor project. While the East Corridor connects India to the Gulf, Northern Corridor will connect the Gulf to Europe. And as per the Memorandum of Understanding, the railway upon completion would provide a reliable and cost-effective cross-border ship-to-rail transit network to all these countries. So very much important. Now, it would enable the transportation of goods and services from India to UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Europe, and other countries. So it will also try to increase the efficiency and reduce the cost, as you know, because the world is very big and there is no proper route, because we have to take the Suez Canal. So very costly it is. So that's why we are trying to find the alternative. So how it has been received? Most direction connection between India and the Gulf and Europe. And one more reason they are telling, like it might be a challenger to a China's One Belt One Road initiative. Okay. Now what geopolitics is at play here? So as you know, China is utilizing the BRI from the Indo-Pacific to West Asia to further expand their economic and political influence in that region. That's why it is also, you can say in a news or in a word of mouth, like this particular Middle East corridor is to counter the China's. Okay, so these are the partners here. So study about this partner, and this is what China, Chahawar based corridor and all. Now how does it affect the Israel and the Gulf or the Saudi Arabia relations? So as you know, Saudi Arabia does not have any diplomatic ties with the Israel. So maybe because of these particular corridor, there are chances the relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel will be better. Now why the relations are not good? Because of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Remember, apart from this particular nation, that is Saudi Arabia, Israel has a very good relations or the official ties with Egypt also, Jordan also, UAE also, Bahrain also, or Morocco also in the Arab region. Okay, so now we'll come to the first article, which I told you we will discuss later because it is related to this article only. So the first article, India, Middle East, EU, it is also has certain hurdles. So no need to study all article, it is nothing much is there. It is very much important to understand here. So in Mumbai, okay, so these missing lines are there, like there might be in the future railways are there. In these dotted line, these are the sea routes. Okay, so these are the sea routes. Even if you see these red dots or these red lines, so these are the missing areas. So this is what all article is talking about. So they are telling these are the missing lines and how to develop these missing lines, because either the country is not in the part of that, or the problem is like pirates are there, or some other kind of problems are also there. It is not accessible. So this is in this particular article they are telling, though they have already adopted the corridor, but still hurdles are very much high. Now we'll come to the next article. So next article is all about winds of change in the global governance. Very much important, global governance. So as you know, G20 summit happened. Okay, and there are certain leading countries like Indonesia, India, Brazil, South Africa. So they were also the part of this, and many agreements they have signed between each other. Okay, so in this particular article they are talking about the voices of the global south. Okay, so we the global south have the largest stakes in the future. 3/4 of the humanity lives in our countries. So this is PM Narendra Modi's statement. As last year climate change conference of parties 27, that is in Egypt, the proclamation of the loss and damage fund also adopted by the global south only. Now outbreak of the rich. So even at the G7, the rich countries, Japan hosted the G7, and they also invite India, Brazil, Vietnam, Indonesia, Comoros, because they have understood like these are the future countries and this century belongs to these emerging economies. So this is the main reason. Then as you know, BRICS summit also happened in South Africa last month. There also they increase they expand the BRICS from 5 member to 11 member. So please do let us know in the comment section what are those 6 members inducted in the BRICS. So this is your homework. Okay. Then in the world that stems everything from abusive unequal trade to global warming and all these things, it is very much important to have a very you can say developed or a productive alliance which can be good for the to counter the problems such like unequal trade, global warming, and etc. So there is a group called G77 plus China. Why plus China? Because China is not a member of G77, remember this. So it is like an informal group. In 1964 this informal group had happened to a joint declaration at the first session of the UN conference, that is UNCTAD, Union Conference on Trade and Development in Geneva, and becoming the largest intergovernmental organization of the developing countries. So remember this. So its mandate was to articulate and promote their collective economic interest and hence their joint negotiating capacity on all major international economic issues with the union system. Okay, so certain you can say multiple expansions of these countries like Asia, Africa. Now it is not only G77 plus China, but it is 134 countries are also there. So there are 134 countries plus China is there. Okay. So one term is there, Brent line. So what is this Brent line? It is nothing but it is a curve that more accurately divided the north and south. So I'll show you this. This is the Brent line. This is the Brent line. Okay. And the countries in the green are the first world countries, or you can say southern countries, which they consider. The countries in the north part are the north countries. So in this particular thing, what they're telling, like how the shift is being, most of the countries, if you see, they are trying to focus in these areas, these regions. Okay. Whether it's India, whether it's China, whether it's Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, these are the emerging powers. Brazil is also there. So that's why these countries are focusing here. That's why we are telling it is a Global South Summit or Voices of the Global South. One very small article is there. You no need to study anything in this particular thing. Study about the tea plant. Okay, tea plant from geography, GS paper 1. What are the tea producing areas, tea producing states, and then study about there is a body called Tea Board of India. Remember, the base price is fixed by this body only, Tea Board of India. So study about this body also. Now next article is related to the data protection law, which was recently passed by the legislative bodies, that is parliament in the country. So maybe in future, like by next year starting or somewhere, the data protection will be applicable. Now 4-5 questions they are trying to answer here in this particular article. Number 1 is, when can entity process your personal data? So there are like government and private both can access the data, but 2 conditions are there. Number 1 is there has to be a clear consent for the such processing, means I have to give the permission to them, then only they have the access to take my data. Second, for certain legitimate uses, means legitimate use like promoting products, services and all these things like that way. Okay. And here also you have to understand, like whatever the thing they are taking, whatever the data they are taking, they have to give you a notice. They have to give you a notice that too available in all the 22 languages mentioned in the Schedule 8 of the Constitution. So very much important. Second question is, what happens to your personal data that was collected before this law came into existence? So again, you have the right to withdraw the consent. Okay. Second thing, the personal notice, if they have taken your data, they have to provide you the details and everything. And the third one is the means of grievance redressal, that is you deny the permission. The third question is, how will your interaction with your apps change as consequences of this law? As you know, like if you install a app, So multiple pop-up will come, and we will do without reading out only, we will do allow. That is very one of the vulnerable thing we people will do. Okay, so we are granting the concern or the the specific company to enter into our mobile, and they have the access not only to our photos but contacts also, and sometimes the galleries also. So that's why maybe after this particular data protection law will be applicable or implemented in the country, the same pop-up will come with some more options. Okay, then will your right be restricted anyway? So yes, but there are certain exemptions. For example, national security, friend relation with the other governments, public order. These are the 3 restrictions on which government has the right to take your data. Okay, remember this. Second, processing of data for legitimate uses. So government can use your data for only legitimate use, not any other purposes. Then voluntary disclose personal data. Voluntary disclose means I have only given the right. Okay, you have the right to use my name and my phone number for so and so particular data. Next, now what will happen if the data will breach? So there is a body called Telecom Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal, and you can file an appeal